Welcome to the Outer Realm with Michelle Desrochers and Amelia Pisano. Airing live on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday night segment of The Outer Realm. We are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network, UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 and 107.7 FM from beautiful New Orleans. We're fully sponsored by the amazing people over at Folgers Coffee who have been a part of our journey for the last 5 years. So thank you, Folgers. We couldn't do it without you, nor would we want to. Also, big thank you to Justice Snicker, a.k.a. Dr. Snick, the Sonic Surgeon, for the contribution of his music, his voice, and his time for the intro that you just heard. Also, been with us for the last 5 years. He is an award-winning composer of Halloween, horror, sci-fi, and dark wave electronic music, which can be found on all of your favorite music streaming platforms. Also, big thank you to Steve McGinnis, the artist behind the banners and logos of the show. Check him out on Facebook and Instagram. Also specializes in the horror genre and does phenomenal commission pieces. So, guys, tonight, I've been waiting for this one. We welcome for the very first time ever, Jessica Elizabeth Taylor. She's just delightful. She's going to be discussing her book, A Spiritual Awakening in Search for Hidden Jewels. And it's a book that she wrote after suffering a fall, which left her severely brain injured. She literally had to start everything over again. And her story really is inspirational. It's just wonderful. And I just can't wait until she starts getting into it. Amelia is, of course, running behind, but she will be here. In the meantime, hello, we've got Catherine, hello, Z-Sun, hello. Oh my goodness. So people are chiming in. For those of you who are on X and on Rumble, please know we can flash your comments up just like what you're seeing right now. So don't hesitate to, contribute, or if you have questions, please just pop it all in there. I see all kinds of people are already popping in. We've got about 40 people in Rumble. Come on, guys. Let's go. And we've probably got, from what I can see, about 10 people in X. And of course, our YouTube is going, always going crazy with people watching. So wherever platform you are on, please subscribe, give us a like. We appreciate it. Share it up, comma. Until I text all day, talk to the phone. I'd probably make a good AI. Anyway, hey, Mark. So we're going to wait for Jessica to come in. So can you imagine ending up having a fall down the stairs and you end up really, really severely brain injured? Spend time in the hospital. I don't want to give away the whole story because she's got her own things that are, she's going to talk about. But I cannot imagine having to go starting over. And I know this happens with a lot of people. And you start over and you have to bring yourself back just to your life, essentially. And while you're doing this, you are pretty much coming forward and you are, let's face it, you are researching, hardcore research. This isn't just a story of discovering, having a spiritual awakening. It's that, but it's so much more. There's so much technical stuff in all of this. It's unbelievable. So a little background on her is while she was building her world after a life-threatening head injury, Jessica gained a glimpse into the metaphysical world and came to realize that all humans have a sole purpose and all living things are connected. By embracing your spiritual dimension and connections, the others and nature, so two others in nature, you too can find true peace and happiness. In a spiritual awakening, she her research basically into religion, theology, the Bible, hidden Christian teachings on reincarnation shows you how the fragmented remains of what we once knew in terms of spirituality can help you experience a new world, a new life. And we humans are simultaneously earthly and supernatural beings capable of more than we consciously know or can even imagine. A spiritual awakening will help you grow in your awareness of who you are and how you're connected to others, and how you, like she, can rebuild your world. And she literally did rebuild her world. Hello, Michelle. Hello, hello. So it's pretty wild. It's really wild. Hey, Heidi. So I think we're going to get into a lot of really deep conversation tonight. And I resonated with a lot of this stuff because let's face it, I mean, I'm a researcher by heart. I consider myself to be, I've always considered myself to be pretty spiritual. But with that being said, I've always leaned on the side of Gnosticism. I really truly believe that the Gnostics had it right. I really do. Oh my God, people, hello. Hi, Faye. How are you? Hey, Kazan. So, I think they had it right. They were well versed. I say astrology. They were well versed in the study of the stars, and they were obviously well versed in spiritualism and many other things. And again, sorry, I'm just having something flashing on my screen. Are we in Mercury retrograde? Because I just can't seem to get with this at all. So, again, that's me. But one thing I've always realized is that the Bible itself has been written over many times over. There are so many different versions of it out there, stemming back a few hundred years. So the translation started really early on because, of course, there were so many different languages that were in there. Oh, you are Mercury. Sorry. Oh, great. Well, it would explain a lot. It really would explain a lot. So, how much of the things that we know, putting conditioning aside, because there were, a lot of translation issues, how much have we actually lost? And you know how many times that the Bible was rewritten to suit the person at the helm, as I say. So, whatever emperor was there at the time, the Holy Roman Catholic Church, well, this is how we're going to do it. It was always about what resonated with the leaders of the time. And again, I think to myself, isn't that kind of what we're going through? What we call something we call, you know, conditioning, things being left out. A lot of things are going to get addressed this evening. So, of course, we are waiting for her to pop in, and hopefully she'll be here soon. And so will Amelia. But I think if we start getting into conditioning of everything, we have to really explore a lot of different things, because even reincarnation at one time was a no-no. You couldn't talk about it, but yet they knew it was a thing. I mean, you know, Yeshua, Jesus, he spoke about it, and then it became something that you were not allowed to talk about it. You were considered a heretic if you did talk about it. You look at even Galileo's talk of the stars, it was considered, that was heresy. Yet you look at the church now, and they've got a leading program in astrology with, the telescope Lucifer. you know, But again, there's an unlimited amount of funds there to be able to explore all of this stuff. And it's exactly what they're doing. So, with that being the case, how much was kept from us? What do we have wrong? I mean, you get into things even like, the Holy Grail, you get into things such as what was the Grail, Jesus, Mary Magdalene, things that, some people say, no, this wasn't right. Where did you just get this from? But there's a lot of writings out there that show it was indeed there. So I don't know, guys. I think, feel free to chime in. I'm just hoping that she got it. Okay, good. 1 second. So I'm just going to get Miss Amelia out and about. All right, hold on, guys. I guess she did not get her link, so we're going to have to get her a link. Okay, here we go. Bear with us. It truly is a Mercury. It truly is a Mercury retrograde day for all of us. And wanted to make sure Jessica also got hers. Boy, oh boy. Where are you, Jessica? Where are you, Jessica? Okay. Podcast. Looking forward to having. Yeah, we're good to go. So we're waiting. We're waiting. And at least we know Amelia is on her way. Link was sent. I don't know why you didn't get it the first time, but come on in, Amelia. Come on in. So we'll get the party started and hope our guest makes it soon. So she's a few minutes late. But hey, at least we'll carry it. So guys, I'm just watching. You guys are very entertaining in the chat tonight, Wayne. Yeah. So anyhow, so where were we? Getting into the different, I guess, reflecting on some of the things that are out there and what we have not been made privy to. If you factor in the amount of stuff that the Vatican has, and a lot of it's never been translated, there's just too much. And there's just not enough people to translate all this stuff. Right? Like that makes it really hard. And also, they allegedly are in the possession of at least one or two extraterrestrial skulls. So this is all stuff that people are well aware of in certain circles. And if it is on a need to know basis, we don't need to know, it would be very sad because I think there may be other people out there who could help translate some of this stuff. There are people who still versed in Aramaic, believe it or not. Even in this day and age, it's very easy to have it done, but they probably just don't know what we're going to find out. Yes, exactly. So much is hidden. Absolutely. Absolutely. And hold on, where are we? We know she's in the house, just waiting on her to come in. So I think, getting into that, and I was going to wait to do this like on an open mic, but can we talk about the portals that were opened by the Pope? Like, hi, Melissa. How many? I started reading that after this happened, so many people were, feeling off and having, you know, problems and so on. And I thought, my gosh, it just factors in all of this other information that we really have no idea about. So, oh, I see Jessica's coming in. Are you ready, dear lady? Almost? Yes? Okay. Hello.
Finally.
Yep. Cutting out a little bit.
Hi, lovely to see you.
Oh, so nice to see you as well. I've really been looking forward to this. Amelia is also great, so she's going to be in soon as well. So I've really been so excited to meet you and to talk about your story. It's such an inspirational story, and it's just incredible how far you've come with all of this and the
Thank you.
insights you've written about. Oh, you're very welcome. So I'm just going to put this up because I think it was just awesome. 1 second. I'm going to share this back up, which was this beautiful poster that you sent. Here we go. And it's got both of your books there as well. And I've put this on all
Thank
of
you.
our.
Michelle, I'm losing your audio a bit.
Oh, okay. I'm getting the same thing from you. It's cutting out. So we've been good up until that point.
Who knows if it's your computer or hers, though?
Yeah. Okay. Are you hearing me at all, or am I still cutting out? Can you hear me at all, Jessica? Hello.
Yeah,
Yeah, we can't hear you at all now. You're frozen. Oh,
no.
Can you hear?
It's
Yeah,
No.
hear us at all?
Round.
Okay, that
You have
has
to
to
refresh
be
something.
that has to be at your end because we've been going for about 15 minutes now without any problems.
My daughter is here. She said,
yeah,
what
you're
does that
cutting
say?
out
Having
totally.
issues?
Yeah, you're cutting out totally. Yeah. I don't know. Do you want to pop out and try coming back in? Check your settings.
Try it again now.
Okay.
Because now it seems a little. No.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, we've been going for about, 15, 20 minutes. So we've been doing okay at our end. So you may be glitching at your end.
Yeah, nothing.
It could be just your Wi-Fi. Maybe, yeah, your Wi-Fi may just be. There's internet issues going on everywhere. Thanks, Michelle. Yeah, there's internet issues going on all over the place right now. Solar storms, things like that. So a lot of people have been reporting
what
that.
can I do about that?
I don't know. Nothing.
Yeah. You can hardwire in, plug directly in, or yeah.
Did you go through her sound, her general?
Ours is all fine.
System?
We can see this one all fine, but it's just your guys's that are.
I can hear her.
Cam settings, like go to settings.
We'll see if we can get back and go exit full screen.
Yeah, because we could hear you, but you're cutting out here and there. So if it's the same for you with us cutting out, that's your internet connection.
It's there. Having trouble issues.
I'm clicking on having issues now.
Okay.
What does it say?
It's the internet.
Yeah. So hopefully,
what does it say?
You may need to plug directly in. Well, I'll let you guys figure that out. I'm just going to drop you back into the green room so you guys can
do this.
Yeah. So you'll be able to hear us. That'll tell you, how your internet is doing. We're just going to drop you into the green room. That way, not everybody's watching you try to figure out your internet. Give you some privacy. Okay.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. We'll just give them a minute to try to sort it out. A lot of people have been having problems with their internet. I think it's been something that's been going on a good chunk of the week. So we do apologize, guys. I know even our guest last night had dropped out a couple of times having problems with the computer and such. So, Amelia, how's it going?
Hi. Sorry.
That's okay.
Got caught behind with helping someone, which I explained to you, but I'm not going to tell it on here. Anyways, well, when she called me and hi, Michael. When she called me, I had my hair in a towel. So my hair is wet right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's just put one of my little hats on.
That's okay.
that I make. And I'm like, okay, well, this is it for now, because otherwise I would have been here at 10:30 if I had to dry this mop.
That's okay. That's okay.
What I do for date night.
Yeah.
But anyways, I'm blushing because I'm like a mess. But anyways,
Yeah.
I need a damn haircut. So yeah, it looks like I look like I'm ready to I know, right? With the stupid rapper hat. I know. But I love these hats, but I like them when I have bangs. But anyways,
Jessica,
a lot of these, just saying.
if you figure that you guys are good and you can hear us really well, just put your hand up so I know you're ready. I'll wait for that. Yeah, because we can't hear you, but
Hi, Catherine.
we'll know if your hand is up.
Same thing for Catherine. See, just got out of another podcast. A couple people had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, Teresa. I think people are having issues just everywhere. So I don't know. There's a lot of CMEs going on. A lot of solar flares. Things are happening. So
so it's not just my head.
It's
not just aimed at me. Oh my, no, it really feels that way. Like, it's really strange on
Mark.
The internet today. You're hearing a lot of people say, I feel so out of sorts. And I'm like, everybody feels this way in January, but it has been bloody cold here the last few days, and stuff is happening. Pay attention.
Well, I mean, a lot of things are happening, and I know. A lot of things are happening. So, I figure we're going to have this very lighthearted show, which takes us away from the crazy that's going on out there, which is just insane stuff happening. And our hearts go out and prayers. Okay, she's dropped out, so we'll see if she tries to come back in. Our hearts and prayers, of course, go out to the people of California. They've really taken a beating over there, and it's just, again, some of the crazy. If anybody can use a little bit of inspiration and spirituality right now, I think these are the people who could do it. But it's just crazy. But before you came in, we were talking about the amount of information that has been kept from us with faith, especially the church itself, because most places are really what? Okay.
So tell me what you really want, Michelle, so I can take it all the way.
Oh, thank you, Wayne.
Not tea.
Yeah,
not tea.
I know. So I know. But so many different versions have been happening throughout the years, and it just seems that there's only one institution that has been more controlling, as opposed to, Buddhism. I've always sort of said I've leaned to the side of Gnosticism, and I've always felt they had it right.
You lean pretty far that way. Yeah. I have a lot of respect for you, obviously, and I learned a lot about it from you, and I still don't know everything. Yeah. Every time someone talks about it, my ears perk up, because there's so much of it that is so real.
But there's stuff that it all starts somewhere. But if you get into things like the Dead Sea Scrolls or Gnosticism, it goes back like before Christ. Like, that's way back. And it just seems that, again, certain institutions feel that not all the information needs to be shared. And I guess it would go against the narrative, or maybe they just think, maybe, we can't handle it. I would think if you follow a faith that, all this incredible information would empower you more than anything else. Especially, I think we live in a time where we could use a little bit of empowerment. Jessica, your camera's gone completely. If you can hear me in the green room, I don't see you now.
It's too bad we can't have Jordan Peterson on, Dr. Jordan Peterson, because he just wrote a book called We Who Wrestle with God. And he has this, I don't know, because it's on a streaming service, this limited series where he has a table copied from somewhere, just saying, a table discussion with people who are the heads of their faiths and like so-called experts or whatever. And they're all taking it apart. And it's so interesting because none of them, I've only caught bits of clips because I don't have that service. None of them have the same opinion. And I'm like, how hard it is to have one, but I like that they're comparing it to everything. And the thing that I take from it is that you take the parts that help you make you feel good, whether it's the Bible, the Torah, the Quran, whatever it is, these scrolls, whatever it is, and follow your gut, because these are opinions that were written and stories that were written how long ago and continually rewritten. It's like, for me, it's like a broken telephone. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm just messaging our guests while we're doing this.
No problem. But the sea scrolls, man, would I love to bring those. Just
I know.
roll them out from one corner of the Vatican underground to the other side of the 50-kilometer.
Oh, I see you twice. Can you hear us better? Okay,
I like everything about him, not just, it's got nothing to do with that. Like, he's not Catholic or anything. It's just the way he looks at everything, and he's so quick, and he's such a good listener. And it's a big conversation right now in the world,
right? With
everything going. Dr. Gad-Sad was on Piers Morgan discussing it.
Yes. Well, there is a lot going on for sure. Wayne.
You go ahead and read that.
Okay. As in the past, so it is now. In the past, history was altered and erased to suit the narrative of the leaders of the time. It's happening all around us right now as we speak. Absolutely. I think it's a cycle that continues. It's always continued. It's sort of frightening if you think about it. So where are we going to end up going with it all? It's pretty scary, without a doubt. Guys, there's a private chat here if you want to communicate or check your email. Just go reaching out to Jessica. If you hear us better, Jessica, by not being on camera, if you hear us better by not being on camera, it could just be that the video streaming may be just, stretching your system. If you don't want to be on camera because it's easier to just do the audio, just let me know, and that's fine as well. The stuff like the Gospel of Mary Magdalene. Wow. The Gospel of Jesus, as well. There's a lot of information out there. You can find it all. Who wrote them? I don't know. They were Essenes, and the Essenes, which stemmed off of the Gnostics, if I'm not mistaken. There were a really good group of people in there, and hold on, I got a private message. Can you hear us at all? Okay, let me bring you in. Okay.
Your battery's gonna run.
Okay, now you're back, guys. I was just in the process. We could hear you fine. If you hear us better without streaming on the camera, that's okay as well, because sometimes the video is what strains the Wi-Fi.
Give us the plug. Yeah, can you hear it all though?
Yeah. Oh, okay, perfect.
Yeah. For some reason, the camera won't work, but I've switched to her cell phone.
Yeah. Okay.
So, so as long as you can hear, then. But I don't know why. I don't know why the camera just won't work. So.
Okay, this is fine. We have her to tell us her story, and sometimes the camera is what's straining everything as well. When you're streaming, it stresses the Wi-Fi. So this might be the perfect option.
Yeah, on the phone we can hear you perfectly, but on the computer it's not working at all.
Oh God,
no, they just stop with the computer and just stay on the phone.
Okay,
hearing the background.
This one.
Okay. Well, you let us know when you are ready to start, and we will do that. This is perfect. We can hear you clearly. You can hear us clearly, so this is ideal. Yeah. And the guys are saying it's nice and clear at their end in the chat room as well.
I'm not much of a cell phone person, and I don't use it for talking.
That's okay. See it as a microphone.
Yeah, we'll take you any way we can get you, Jessica.
Yeah.
We'll see them.
Well, at least you can hear me. So there'll just be a blank picture for your audience, I gather.
Yeah, that's all it is, but that's okay. We have this talking circle. So every time you talk, the circle vibrates. So we know that you're here. So perfect. So why don't we get the show on the road, so to speak? And why don't you start with telling us your story? Just let us know, the background. What led you to write this? Sounds like this beautiful, inspirational story based on a very traumatic event.
Well, the reason I wrote it, well, to go back first,
Yes, of course.
My first book is entitled From Tragedy to Triumph, Reawakening My Broken Brain.
Wow.
And there was no CAT scan and no MRI or anything in the hospital 56 years ago in Toronto. Mm-hmm. So I was let out with undetected brain injury.
Wow.
So therefore there was no help given to me whatsoever. And I had my memory was wiped clean. And I literally had to learn everything all over again, like to cook, to cross the street. I wouldn't understand the traffic lights. I had to hold on to somebody in front of me to follow them across the street because I didn't understand colors. Wow. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. It was like, being a new soul and a new planet.
Yes.
Total stranger on a new planet. And
that's an interesting way of putting it, actually.
Yeah. And it was the lack of help and the lack of care. What should happen, there should be a go-between for every brain-injured family member so that the rest of the family should be informed what to expect from that injured person. Mm-hmm. And that's what's non-existent. Mm-hmm. And that needs to exist. That's one of the petitions that I gave.
Yes.
When I speak at conferences, and that I kind of appeal to the system. I've even written into presidents and you name it. That there's got to be. Sorry. Yeah. It's got to be. My daughter is just trying to help here.
That's going to run out.
Yeah, just unplug it.
Because your battery's going to run out.
Yeah.
Your screen's broken.
So anyway, it was a long journey back, but I wrote all about it in my book, From Tragedy to Triumph, which is helping a lot of people. It actually stopped people from committing suicide.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, it says it's like you've been reborn in a sense.
It is literally, because it's another thing that happens to brain injured people is the fact that there's important factors, but the fact that you have a personality change. There's 90% of brain injured people either leave their spouse or their spouse leaves them with the lack of understanding of what's wrong with them.
Yes.
And I had that total personality change. I just took a dislike to my husband, Ken.
Wow.
And left him. Yeah.
Wow.
And then I had to go to my mother in Ireland, from Toronto to Ireland, to get help. I had two little girls as well.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there was a stepfather that wasn't very nice to me, so a house had to be rented for me, which nearly burnt down about 10 times.
Oh, boy.
Again, the lack of care, you see, for brain-injured people. One day I had the saucepan on. I was boiling an egg. I remembered how to boil an egg.
Right.
And, of course, if I got distracted from any chore like that, I forgot I was doing it. And I went into the kitchen, and the eggs actually blew up like a bomb and landed on the roof.
Wow. Wow. It's a weapon.
They dried right out. They dried right
Yes.
out.
And
Wow.
I would forget, like, to leave the curtains, like make sure there wasn't a heater in front of curtains.
Right.
And of course a wind would blow in the window, and there's the curtain on fire. I mean, it's only the surface of my story. It's just like incredible. But the bottom line is, because of my very bad memory, I had to learn again. I didn't know anything that no average person knows about life, about everything, about religion, about everything. You know, I didn't know any of this.
Wow.
And so that's when some nice people came into my life, spiritual people, and one of them said, Jessica, why don't you go to the library and study? And just learn about, you know, learn again about life. And I did, but oddly enough, I said to the librarian, this was now going from Ireland to the Isle of Wight. I was just going all over the place with a little bit of money that I had from one of the biggest court hearings in Toronto's history about what happened to me. Yeah, it's all like a movie. It's actually a 120-page screenplay has been written based on my memoir.
Oh my goodness!
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
this
really.
This is good. This is good. I'm glad this is happening for you. I think the word needs to get out. It sounds like you were almost going back to learning like a child.
I was like a child. My handwriting was even like a child's.
Yes. Yes.
And I, you know, and I was a good writer previously, but in terms of going to that library in Isle of Wight, the Isle of Wight, the people are very spiritual, and I'm sure they are 20 years later today.
Yes.
One of the reasons that people are like that is because there's a house that Queen Victoria used there for a getaway, and she conducted seances. Would you believe?
Oh, I do. I love it.
Yeah, she conducted seances, and she had living with her. She had this special man who used to contact her late husband. And so I think that got out. There's actually a photograph of her table lifting with her friends outside the window of that little house in the Isle of Wight that she used. So I think the people there, knowing, oh my goodness, if Queen Victoria was spiritually inclined and into all of this occult, so will we.
Yes, yes.
So it was a good place to go. But anyway, when I went to the library, I said, I've got to research because I've had a brain injury and I don't know anything.
Yes.
And she said, I'm sorry, my daughter is making...
Yeah, because your phone is going to die any second, and this one is going to die.
Oh, she's
if that one dies, then you can click on this and try and enter on this phone.
Queen Victoria is pissed off.
I'm no good at technology.
It's okay. It's Queen Victoria.
No, because this one's nearly dead too.
When it works, it's great. When it doesn't work, it's just an annoyance.
Yeah, so long as you can hear me.
Yes, perfectly
but
clear.
if it comes out, you have to re-enter on this one.
I may not be able to re-enter, so we'll just see what happens. It's plugged in now.
Yeah, I can send you another link if you struggle. But
yeah, it's charged now, so that's the main thing. But when I went into the library, the librarian said, who do you want to research? Or what do you want to research? And again, I think I repeat that I said, I just want to know anything because I've had a brain injury. And she said, well, there must be someone you want to research. And the word came out, God. And I was an agnostic.
Right.
I knew nothing about religion, absolutely nothing, because I had lost everything that I was ever taught. And so that was kind of funny. So then she put me into the research room, and of all things, these books literally flew out of the shelves to me. It was all meant to happen. It was meant to be.
Mm-hmm.
And they were Vatican encyclopedias.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
a fortunate event.
I
Yeah.
didn't know those existed.
Sorry?
I didn't even know they existed.
I know. No, I don't think anybody does.
No.
People are amazed to hear that they were, I think they were taken out of major libraries, but the Isle of Wight is a tiny little town with a small little library, and maybe that was neglected.
Very possible.
Oh,
That's
Because-
outstanding.
yeah.
Meant to be for sure.
I
It
love
was
it.
meant to be. And I
Always.
was to just go back to how I was. I'm just going back so that you know a bit more about what happened to me. I believe that I went into another dimension after that injury, because I'd be sitting on a chair and people around me talking, and I literally found myself hanging on to the seat of the chair.
Wow.
And I spoke to spiritualists about this years later, and they said, Jessica, you were unintentionally, without your knowledge, you were stopping yourself from zooming out. Like, yeah.
Like having an out-of-body experience almost. or
Yeah,
you were
I could have
trying.
done that while sitting on a chair.
Yes.
And so I have a theory about also the doctors found that I was on the theory, the theta, you know, the dimensions that we have on our brain, alpha, beta, theta.
Yes.
And theta is people who do extraordinary things,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like clairvoyant, hence healing and all of that kind of thing. So I think the fact that I was on that dimension and the synapses in between the brain cells, which is known to have quantum energy, was affected by that fall. And that's why this new dimensional person that I was meant to, and possibly before I was born, knew that this was to be my life's work, to start studying like I did. It took 20 years to study and write that second book, A Spiritual Awakening. 20 years.
Wow. It's very, it's very detailed. Like you really studied, like you researched a lot. Like I don't think you've left anything out.
I know. And you know what that research was doing to my brain? It was helping my brain.
Yes.
Exercising it, because we're told to exercise the body, but why not the brain? That's more important probably to exercise the brain.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
That's why it's good to always read every day, even for a little bit.
Yes. Yeah. Very important for people to do that. Keep the brain active.
So that's okay. Alan has a quick question. Amelia, can you get it, or do you want me to get it?
Absolutely. Hi, Alan.
Hi.
He says, so did your brain injury connect you to your higher self?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's
and I believe it. That was through the synapses that goes from in between brain cell to brain cell. In the medical profession, there's too much emphasis on the cells of the brain, but they say nothing about the synapses that goes from brain to brain. How could the cells be injured and not that synapses be altered in some way? That's what I want to have looked at as well.
Do you think that had they taken proper precautions when you went into the hospital, because I believe everything happens for a reason, and had they picked up on that, do you think that you would still have been on the same path, aside from setting up your family and helping with counseling and giving you all the understanding of what kind of support that you needed? Do you think that maybe if they would have given you rehabilitation, that would have taken you onto a different path?
I'm sure of it. I'm 100% sure of it. Yes. I wouldn't just been going where everybody else is going, drug after drug after drug. You know, probably tell me to go to church.
You're right.
You know, preach God to me and everything else. But
Yes.
I mean, from what I learned, it gave me a perspective on life that the average person doesn't have. Even the readers of A Spiritual Awakening tell me that my story gives them a totally new perspective on life.
Mm-hmm.
So I was on that path from the brain injury. So, okay, there are things that have happened that resulting that are very sad to me. Technically, I couldn't do what Debbie just did now to help me get on this. Thank God I live with her.
Yes, yes. The kids come in handy, don't they?
I know. Yeah.
Yes.
She's going on 61, kid, actually, because I'm 86.
That's okay.
Awesome.
It's a role reversal. That's good.
Well, you know what? It's another role reversal because I was regressed to a past life where she was my mother.
Oh, wow.
And you hear that sometimes.
During the Boer War, she was my mother. And I saw her, I've been regressed to other lives that are just absolutely astonishing. And I wrote about them in my book as well. Wow. But when I learned, I thought, what's this God everybody's talking about, And of course, that's what I had to explore more than anything else. And then I found out that the Jewish word for God is Elohim, which is plural, male and female aspects.
Yeah, duality.
And that made sense to me. Everything I learned made sense to me. And it wasn't as if I was thinking back on what I'd been taught, because that was gone. I was just talking to other people, and it made sense to them as well. And I'd see words like sin. There was no such word as sin. It's in the ancient Bibles, from Judaism, there was no such word. That was just put into Bibles at a later date. Yeah. And there was no words like Satan and devil.
No.
According to the early transcripts, Jesus called people enemy and slanderer. And that made a lot of sense as well.
Yeah, because Lucifer means light. He was never referenced as Yeah.
And I mean, people believed in reincarnation in ancient times. Everybody believed in it. But the Emperor Justinian, 500 and something, he put curses out to anybody who believed in reincarnation. And of course, people were scared of him. Yes. So that was the end of that. But, it's back now in good force, because apparently there are 31 million American adults who say that their Christian faith background is important to them, but who have struggled with faith or relation issues, and as a result no longer attend church. This group includes avid readers who are interested in spirituality, spiritual practices, higher consciousness, and care for the planet. And nearly 2/3 are between the age of 35 and 54, and they have a college education.
Wow.
I mean, this is what's going on. The church has had too much power, way too much power in history.
Yes, I agree. It's the institution of it. Because those people who are faithful to their faith, I don't believe that you need an institution to tell you how to be faithful. You feel that within yourself.
Exactly.
You automatically know, and you feel connected to everything. It's not just what you're told to connect to. You don't need the 4 walls, right? You don't need the 4 walls. You can go sit in the forest, like most spiritualists do.
Yeah, we're the macrowave in the microwave.
Yes.
There's no doubt about it. And I wrote in the book about my own theory of what God is. I'm calling God, to go back, the planet. The planet is alive, right? It's living. So all living things have consciousness. Everything from a beetle to humans.
Yes.
There's consciousness everywhere. And I'm calling God a conscious energy that comes to every single living soul and animal, and all of nature.
Yes.
And we're all part of that one great consciousness.
I agree.
I call it the God consciousness, like the Godfather.
Yes.
Yes.
without the gun.
Yes.
I love that, the God consciousness.
Yeah.
I feel in this moment right now, I have to tell you, I feel so honored to be able to have a discussion with you. I just want you to know that. I just feel so connected and touched by your energy is golden.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Beautiful. No, thank you.
No.
Well, I must tell you about a man that I investigated. His name was Nicholas Notovich from Russia, a professor of highly intelligent man. And he went to the east. He fell off a donkey and broke his leg. And lucky for him, he was just right, almost in the grounds of a monastery where the monks took care of him. And what did he find in that monastery? They gave him a manuscript about a man called Issa, I-S-S-A, and that spent his life in India, spent not all his life, a lot of his life in India. And Nicholas actually had it translated to English because he knew that that man, Issa, was actually Jesus, because everything that he read in that manuscript was identical to Jesus's life, from where he was born to the crucifixion.
Wow.
And then I found out that the government in India have actually said that they have enough evidence physically that Jesus was there. And there's an inscription on a rock, 45 AD, Jesus was there in a part of India.
Oh, I believe it.
Yes. Well, I think a lot of people don't realize that Jesus was believed to have traveled with his uncle Joseph of Arimathea, and that he was privileged and did study in some of these old ancient mystery schools, which went throughout the world. He was very well versed. Yes.
From the age of 13, when he went, they actually trained him. The Buddhists trained him.
Yes. I think people forget. They're always like, well, how did he get across an ocean? I'm like, well, I don't think the land masses were split like that back then. I feel like they were very close or attached. You can see that, of course, from proof with all the different scientists and all the expeditions that have been done, that there are land masses underwater. So he could have just walked across, it's Jesus.
we have continents that are underwater now that we knew existed then.
Crazy,
but
right?
Thomas also makes a good point with the disciple Thomas. Thomas.
Isn't that funny, Thomas? Did your mother know that?
Yeah, brought the teachings of Jesus to India.
Yeah.
So
these new people coming into not coming into my life, but my exploration of their work and their books and everything else. I just had to share it. I didn't do all my research to write a book. I thought I'd probably never write another one again.
Yes.
And I actually went to a renowned psychic in England. A friend took me to, and he said, "You have 2 projects." That's my 2 books. And he said, the spirituality is a little in the first one. Oh, and he waved, he was from East India, and he waved his arms out either side of himself. He said, oh, the second book, oh, massive spirituality. And I laughed. I felt so bad. I felt guilty because I told my friend, he's nuts. There's no way I'm going to write another book.
I feel that Thomas
picked it up.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
No, he was so accurate, and I was dead against the idea,
Yes.
So this is where and these people like him and hands-on healers and that, in ancient times, they were called theurgists, Theurgists. In other words, the subject is theurgy, which I wrote a lot about in the second book as well. in spiritual awakening. So he was obviously a theurgist.
Yes.
And
yes.
But then the other man was Mario Mazzoloni. Oh my God. He was a priest that worked at the Vatican, Mario.
Mm-hmm.
I just loved the man. And he went to India for 12 years, visits for 12 years from the Vatican to study a holy man called Sai Baba. And I don't know if you've heard of him.
No.
But like people from governments, movie stars, you name it, have gone out to listen to what he has to say. He's raised the dead like Jesus. He gives up. He used to give. He's gone now for about 5 years. He spoke everything that Jesus spoke. Very, very same teachings. And Mario then wrote the book, A Catholic Priest Meets Sai Baba. And he had 2 reasons that they excommunicated him. One was because he refused to say Jesus Christ. He said his name wasn't Christ, it was Jesus that Christ. So between that and his book about Sai Baba, they excommunicated him. But his book, A Catholic Priest Meets Sai Baba, is just as good as Notovic's book, about Jesus as a man called Issa. But the biggie for me was, this is a bit funny actually. When I was in Ireland, I was 60 at the time, and this local canon of the Roman Catholic Church, Canon Keane, was 90, and of course he had retired, and we became friends. And so I told him what I was writing, and I swear he was confessing to me. He told me truths that he was not allowed to tell his congregation.
Wow.
And one of them was that they based the Pope on one of Jesus's pupils and disciples, as they called him.
Yes.
Called Peter, was the one who told him who he was and what he was. And when Jesus was beside himself with excitement, it was not Peter. It was a man called Simon Bar Jonah, Simon, son of Jonah.
Oh, that's interesting.
And to get back to where Peter came from, now I have to try and memorize all of this. I have notes beside me, but I haven't written what I need to know now.
That's okay.
He went over the Jewish Bible with me, and originally the words were, "Thou art Kepha," Jesus' words to the disciple that they call Peter. "Thou art Kepha, Kepha, and upon this Kepha I will build my gathering." That was the original, and we've got to go back to originality, not what's been changed over the hundreds of years.
Yes.
And so then the next thing, it went to Greek. And so that meant rock. That meant rock. Kepha meant rock. You are a rock, and upon this rock I'll build my gathering. Then in the Greek, it was thou art Petra, which is a feminine noun.
Yes.
And then it went to the Latin masculine noun, thou art Kephas. No, thou art Petros.
Petros.
Yeah. Which is a masculine noun. And when you hear this, I mean, I was shocked, totally shocked. I said, how did that all change to Peter? His answer was, you cannot have a feminine noun following a feminine noun.
Wow.
Can you believe that? It was all based on that?
Yes.
I mean, it's
not surprising. It's not surprising. I mean, you went from the goddess energy, they went from goddess worship, to everything became male. Everything.
Yes.
So where did the duality go?
I know. Yeah. But 2,000 years ago was masculinity was, I mean, look at it even in my mother's life. The man was the dominant person in, he was the one at the head of the table, and only him could cut the meat,
Yes, that's true.
So
that's right.
So that's what that's led to an awful lot of corruption, and then the dominating force in not only religion but politics and everything else.
Everything,
power,
everything. Well, there's that saying that if mothers were in charge, politically in charge, there would be no wars.
Exactly.
I truly believe that, because well, I mean, you're supposed to be, bonded to your children, mothers, the maternal instinct. We don't want war. Not that there aren't women out there that are totally on board with the whole male-driven narrative. But I think on an average, had we been allowed to either stay with goddess worship or at the very least, be able to have the duality, we would be in a very different world right now.
Yeah, absolutely. But there are more men in the world now that are showing a bit more of their feminine side.
Yes,
I like that.
Do you think we're going back to the duality a little bit? Do you think we're going back to basics with our belief system? Do you think we're moving backwards with it to a point where we should be? You still with me? No? Hello? Oh, I think we may have lost her for a moment. Just when it was getting good.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, come back. Mothers are the most fierce fighters. Yes, I agree. We absolutely can be. But we're also, to be like that means we're fiercely protective. We would not just throw our children into war
we
situations.
throw ourselves forward.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You'd be fighting mothers everywhere.
Just as Queen Elizabeth I did.
Yes.
She went to war with her soldiers. She did not let them go in without her.
Great.
She was the first ever in history. We've had quite a few amazing women in our time. Actually, there's a couple of great ones.
Joan of Arc is another.
Yeah, and some would say the last Queen Elizabeth in some ways, keeping peace and so on. It was a different monarchy that she took over, but also Margaret Thatcher.
Yeah.
When you're hard, they call you iron.
Yes.
Because they're calling a new leader of the world right now, a female leader in Europe, Iron Lady, and she's nowhere near what Thatcher was, but she's an incredible force.
I think that, we are in different times, and I believe that we need to lean on, again, where we left off with duality. Hopefully she'll get back here, because I got a whack of questions I want to ask her.
But that's where I was going to with when you see the female leaders, not that some men don't, and they have refugees that come forward, they actually feed them, Medicare them before making any decisions, where I find the men a little bit different. They might hand them a sandwich and throw them on a plane. I do see that difference. And, not that there aren't women who would jump to war, but it's very less, it's less likely to happen.
I war in a different way. I would do it if I had to save my family, for sure.
If I could stop my kid from going, I would go. Yeah.
There we go. Okay, we're going to try again.
But the battery. I don't know whether it was the battery ran out. Can you hear me?
We can hear you and see your beautiful face.
There we go.
I can actually see you, and I can see myself now on the cell phone.
Yay!
Good. Excellent. Okay. So we left off at duality. Is duality coming back, do you think? Because you were mentioning that there seemed to be a lot of men out there that seem to be embracing that other, side of their thinking a little bit. So do you think that maybe it's coming back a little bit to where it should be?
I'm sorry, but the sound has gone really bad.
Oh no. Probably because you're streaming, I think. Yeah. You may have to go off camera.
I just have to put it very close to my ear by the looks of it.
Oh gosh, okay. All right.
I was hoping I kind of went on my computer as well to see if I could click in on the show link.
Yeah.
And now,
well, but you may have to go without the camera because the video streaming might be affecting your sound. Maybe it'll do better with just the audio.
Yeah.
If you want to do that.
Okay, I'll just get out of that now.
Yep. Okay.
But the sound kind of went before I started doing this.
Right.
I don't know why, and I'm pressing on the button that shows sound going up. Maybe I have to click on you're in the show.
Well, you're already in the show. That's all it's telling you. You're already here.
Yeah, so I'm already there.
Yes.
And down at the bottom, it's got mic, camera, chat, more, and leave. I wonder if I click on mic.
Oh, well, no, because we can hear you. You're struggling with us. There we go. Okay, that's better. You have to unmute your mic. I can't do that for you, though. So you have to turn your microphone back on. At the very bottom, where you see your picture with the circle at the very bottom, there's 3 little buttons there, or you'll see the microphone. Just click on it so the sound comes back. We'll just wait. Yeah, you have to unclick your microphone. Okay. I'll just put her back in the green room till she's ready. I'll be able to tell when you've unclicked your microphone. That way we'll know that you're coming back. So, okay, something was going on. Oh, okay, we'll go back to Alan, who wonders why Christianity denied the divine feminine. I know. Yes.
I think it has a lot to do with Mary Magdalene.
But even before that, I mean, there was that balance in the Old Testament. I mean, people would talk about Yahweh and his counterpart.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but I think they dismissed it because of the relationship with Jesus. Like that's a whole other show and a limited series in itself.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my opinion, Alan.
Yeah,
I know. That would take hours. There's no real answer. There's just theories.
Mm-hmm. But the thing, there's a lot of, I'm hoping that we can get her back in here to really talk about, and she's back. Okay, we'll see. Okay, you're back.
I can hear you.
You took out your camera and your microphone, so we couldn't see you. So if you're struggling hearing us, just drop your camera out, but leave the microphone running.
Well, I can hear you clearly now.
Oh, beautiful.
Okay, good. Don't move.
Perfect. Excellent. Perfect. Okay. So where do we pick up? Do we pick up with with so many men, I think, embracing that more nurturing side of themselves? Do you think that we can, or maybe we are in the process of going back to a little bit of duality?
I do believe that. Yeah, I think the feminine, because everything vibrates.
Yes.
Yeah, from humans to the ant.
Yes.
Everything, the trees, all of nature, everything vibrates.
Mm-hmm.
And that vibration changes, and the earth as well. Like the earth vibrates, the universe vibrates, everything vibrates. And I think as the vibration goes up in higher frequency, that's when better things are happening. I'm sure, because I've explored that the frequency of vibration, and I've written a lot about it in the book. That people themselves are on different levels of frequency, according to what they can contribute to the world.
I agree with that.
Yeah, and I believe that people like Sai Baba in India and Jesus were on the highest frequency, because he was a normal man like everyone else, but I don't know what word normal. He was such a beautiful, holy man. And he was on such a tremendously high frequency that he could raise the dead. Like the higher the frequency, like a really good medium and clairvoyant will be on a higher frequency than, say, somebody taking the garbage out,
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, it's true. And I think it's having control over mindset, because it is all about energy and, frequency. We are energy. So you have to have an understanding of, I guess, the power of the mind, like that whole mind over matter thing, because
that's very important. Mind over matter.
Yes. And not being in constant conflict with our, I guess, ourselves, or maybe higher selves, right? I think you make mention of the karmic thing. Like that's that's a tough one.
Yeah. Well, because the higher self is energy as well. The soul is energy.
Yes.
And all of that energy is part of that cosmic, beautiful energy that creates everything,
Yes.
Along with the sun, of course. Without the sun, nothing would happen.
Yes.
But, we, I think people just need. I would love it if at school children could be taught the truth and all about what we're talking about, and energy and soul, and the writings of the Nag Hammadi library.
That's a big one.
I mean,
yes,
they're incredible. The writings of Mary Magdalene and and the other followers of Jesus are in there with contradictory things to what's in Bibles, So the children should know this.
Yes. I mean, I think you need to get back into Gnosticism. You need to get back into the way the Essenes lived and the Cathars after them. I mean, they get to the Cathars and they were literally annihilated because of their way of life. And yet they were just practicing their ancestry, which stemmed from the Essenes.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And I firmly believe that Jesus was an Essene as well.
Yes, I believe that also.
Yeah, I firmly believe it. Yes. I mean, they were just wonderful people. But thankfully now the scrolls have been found, which is wonderful, and translated to English.
Yes.
Do
you find, like, are we getting the whole story with the scrolls? Because they just seem, it's like anything. I realize, many were damaged. But even through translation, do you think we're getting the full story behind those?
I think we're getting as much as, as much as that's needed.
Right.
But have you ever heard of the Gospel of the Holy 12?
No, I have not.
That's another thing I came across that I've written a lot about. This is the gospel. It used to be called the Gospel of the Perfect Life. And it was an Irish clergy who discovered that gospel. And what I love about that book, I have a copy, the Gospel of the Holy 12. I've written all over it, so I'm going to send for a new one. But this clergyman found it. And I mean, it's an absolute eye-opener. And it's more important, as far as I'm concerned, than the Bibles, the modern Bibles, and the Gospel of the Holy 12.
Okay.
Because all the truths are in there. I can't give. I've written about it in the book, A Spiritual Awakening, and I've written the highlights. I mean, it says things like Jesus was married to Mary Magdalene and used to kiss her on the mouth and things like that. I mean, this is pre-Bible.
Well, I find it interesting, in the wedding, like, in which he turns water into wine. Many people believe that was his wedding.
I believe, and I wrote that in the book as well, I firmly believe it was, simply because somebody complained. Who is it? Somebody complained about the wine. And it was somebody in Jesus's family, or maybe Mary herself, Jesus' mother. And in Judaism, they don't do that, and they certainly wouldn't do that in those days. They would at their own wedding, they would never make a complaint like that. There's no way.
Right.
And in one section, it has something about the bridegroom. It's kind of given the feel that Jesus is the bridegroom. I've always believed that, ever since I started all this research, that there's no doubt it was him. And in that ancient manuscript that was turned into the Gospel of the Holy 12, it has that Jesus was married to her as well.
Well, if you look at the sign, again, the sign of the times, if you go back and think about that, it's believed that in that tradition that they would have had, even, it was more, there were even engagement parties that were, you got married, but there was a strong belief that she was with child, and they would have wanted to make sure that the woman they were marrying could give them a child, bear a child, into the family, that they would not have just said, yes, let's get married, unless they knew that the female, being, the wife to be, could be able to bear a child. And I've read stuff about that pertaining to this also, which is why the marriage was happening, because she was supposed to be with child already.
Yeah, firmly believe it.
Yes. I believe that too. It's quite extraordinary, but it's not, it goes against the narrative, you see.
I know, that's the trouble. Anything that goes against, I mean, it's going back even in 500 AD and 600, when beautiful people were persecuted, murdered, killed, whatever, just for opposing what the establishment were talking about.
Yes.
Even a Bishop Origen, another one I just fell in love with.
Yes.
Bishop Origen. He wrote that the dogmas were incorrect, and he wrote about reincarnation. And what did they do? They shoved him in jail, and they persecuted him. He died in jail. A beautiful, beautiful man.
Yes.
Christian man.
Why do you think, Jesus spoke of reincarnation, so why do you think that they would try to erase that from their narrative?
It probably all started with the Emperor Justinian putting curses on people.
Yeah, sounds a little bit, like the issue was with him. So why do you think he would not want people to know this? I mean, this is something that if you are, if this is your Christian faith, you're the emperor, you are following the word, why would you try to remove the word of Jesus, the person who you are revering?
You mean in terms of reincarnation?
Yes.
Why remove?
Yes.
Well, then the church wouldn't have so much control, because I mean, people believed in reincarnation. They know that they're going to have comeuppances, that they're the savior of their own soul, right?
So it goes against the narrative. Yes.
There'd be no need for churches and clergy and everything else.
Yes. Yes.
You know,
that would make probably the most sense. Is it goes against the control narrative of you have to follow the rules to be able to ascend to the next level. You're right. Yeah. If you think you could just keep coming back, then maybe they figured the world would be in a little bit more chaos. But from where I'm sitting, it can't be much worse. No. I know.
Exactly. You're totally right. And, and I believe that, again, I've written about it, this, when we talk about good or bad people, the people so-called bad who do things, get in jail, be put in jail and everything else, they were taught the truth of reincarnation and everything else that we're talking about from school age on. This nobody would, it's like the Buddhism. I think it's 1 in 4 million people that commit a crime, and then it's a minor one. Yes. Whereas with us in the West, it's 1 in every 100 or 200 or something.
That's terrible. That's terrible.
It makes a big difference.
I mean, I think Jesus spoke of reincarnation because he did study Buddhism. He did study with them, and they are all about reincarnation. They believe everything reincarnates. Even an ant can reincarnate.
Exactly. Well, the reason I believe, again, it's my own thought, I believe that the 52 chapters Ecclesiasticus was removed from the Vulgate Bible of 400. It's not in any of our modern Bibles. There's Ecclesiastes, isn't it? But not Ecclesiasticus. 52 chapters. And that is what that beautiful retired clergyman in Ireland, Canon, shared with me. He even gave me, allowed me to photocopy pages. And in my book, I've quotes from the Vatican, not the Vatican, the what did I call it again?
The Vulgate Bible?
The Vulgate. Yeah. Yes. Sorry, I get a bit tired at night.
That's okay.
No. So just for people who aren't familiar with it, what is the Vulgate Bible? How does it differ?
Because it's more or less the original in 400 AD.
Wow. And who was responsible for that, writing that one?
Saint Jerome.
Oh, okay. Very interesting.
Saint Jerome. And that Bible was not allowed to be read by the public. No one was allowed to read it. I mean, it was a miracle that I got my hands on it, only because I was very close to that clergyman, Canon Keane.
Very fortunate.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, he was confessing to me. I know he was. He was all of these things that he was taught. You don't share with the public. We know it. We know the truth. They don't. Kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's you can't buy it. It's been gone for all those years, and only priests were allowed to have a copy. So there's your control now. That's the biggest control, I think, of all.
Yeah, that's a big one because, again, we were just saying that when you were working through your tech issue the last time, that we live in a time where we could, I think the faithful could use some inspiration and get into the roots in the ancient history of that faith, yet it gets held back. I mean, even the little tidbits of information, like they really don't give you anything, which right away should tell you that maybe you shouldn't be following that faith. I tend to wonder, because there are other faiths that are very open. And I know Christianity is not the only one. I know there's others where you get little bits and pieces. But when you're looking at spiritualism and you're looking at Buddhism, like they're very open about everything. They want you to feel enlightened. They want you to be educated. They want you to be able to teach it yourself, to be that educated and aware.
But actually, it's when we're reading the Bibles, not the Vulgate, the modern Bibles, which there's 13, by the way, 13 Bibles.
Right.
Wow. And the last one done, the Confraternity, was a Roman Catholic Bible, 1663. That was the 13th Bible. And starting with the Septuagint in 200 BC. One was written 200 BC.
Yes.
But again, you can tell it's the power of the church all the time, not wanting people to feel fear, to know fear. And, you know, the fear of God, that just blows my mind. The fear of God. How can anybody fear that beautiful cosmic energy that we have? You know, that unites us and everything else. And
you know, working on a supernatural level and coming across spirits who remain behind because of that fear of God, and having to say, but your God is all loving. Why do you fear? Because you made a mistake with a rule that the institution made. For example, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife. That's a big one. You have a spirit might be thinking, I don't want to go to hell because that's what I've been conditioned, you know, to believe. So I think I'll take my chances and stay back here, which makes them lost, wandering souls until someone says, no, it's okay. Don't be afraid for that. You have a forgiving God.
Yeah. See, I find it hard to conceive the word God, really, at all. I find it hard. And when it comes to hell, there was no such word as heaven and hell. And according to those Vatican encyclopedias that I studied in the Isle of Wight, heaven was upper air and hell lower air.
Interesting. So I tend to believe in like a dimensional thing, you know, tend to wonder. I mean, if we create that ourselves as well. So upper air, lower air, could that be dimensions?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think so. Definitely.
Yes.
Vibration, again, the vibration, up or lower vibration frequency.
Yes.
What I was talking about, you know, with people and different people, clairvoyants and mediums and hands-on healers and somebody who can sit down and, like Chopin, Mozart, you know, people who never studied, they can write the most miraculous piece of music. And some people can read another language they've never been trained. That's a different frequency vibration altogether. That's my belief in the vibrations and frequencies. And children were taught all this at school.
Yes. Well,
you know, we'd have a different world to live in altogether. But I don't know about you, but there's a lot of Roman Catholic churches closing down.
Yes.
In Canada alone, I think it's 30-something. In Ireland, I correspond with some people in Ireland, and people are not going to the Roman Catholic Church like they used to. And there was some man interviewed at one time, and he said, if things keep up the way they are, there won't be any Roman Catholic religion in the country anymore. So,
I've heard that. I heard that on a worldwide scale. I mean, sadly, churches are being burned down everywhere, all over the world. Besides that, you know, so.
But those are the old ones. That's an old war that's going on there.
Yes. Yes. It's still sad, you know, just
very
the marvel of architectural marvels to me, and that were built it's believed that many of these older structures were built over power spots, throughout the world. Like they knew where to build. They would build over old temples, or they would build in places where, you can shift dimensions fairly easy. I think times were a lot different than what they are now.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But I mean, you also spoke about the Library of Alexandria.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I believe I firmly believe I was there.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I felt the oneness with everybody that I read about that was there at that beautiful place. And I mean, that was burned down as well, because
yes,
again, the masculine control of the church, it didn't want people to know the truth. And I'll never understand why they wouldn't want people to know the truth, unless it's because, like I said, to be in power. Just to be in power. It's, it's even some girl in Ireland said a word to me that I couldn't believe you'd hear in Ireland, because you know how Roman Catholic dominated it was.
Yes.
And she said it's a mafia. She called the Vatican a mafia.
Oh, they're run by it.
Yeah. And to hear a girl say that, I mean, I must say things are better, and there are more Roman Catholics marrying Protestants now in Ireland, which is a good thing.
Yes.
And that story of that canon of the Roman Catholic Church and Jessica together as friends, a Protestant brought up a Protestant, that's hilarious.
Yes.
If that got out into the papers, my God, hey, there's a Protty talking to our, God, really.
Yes.
You have to question an organization that calls itself a church, and I'm Roman Catholic, and I'm questioning it because they have their own bank, they have their own city,
their own country.
Yeah, it's but there's another little small country in Italy that's not Italy. It's just too much. There's just too much there, and I know people because of they might find it harsh when I say indoctrination, but you're raised a certain way, and I believe in Catholic guilt 100% because I go through it constantly. And it goes back to your upbringing, right? You always want to stop and say, oh my gosh, if my mother could hear me say that or do this or ignore that or not be at church today. Like it's that kind of thing. But I think it's slowly leveling off.
I firmly believe it's leveling out. I mean, I deliberately ask people. I met an awful lot of people. So I came back here to Canada from Ireland. And from whatever country I was in before, half the time I don't remember. And they don't want to know. That they absolutely don't want to know anything about religion. And they've turned against Catholicism. Every single one of them. There's not one that is going to Mass or anything else. All the people that I've met for years. So people are turning away. And it's true about that quote that I gave you, the 31 million American adults who say that their Christian faith background is important, but they struggle with the issues and results and no longer attend churches. People are ready now for spiritualism more than ever. And we've people like Edgar Casey and Tully. And what's that young girl who was raped and brought up by an occult when she was a child? Her mother threw her into this occult and they abused her. What's her name?
Yeah, I'm not sure on that
one. I know who you're talking about, but I just can't get her.
Get the name. She's absolutely Teal Swan. I've got it, Teal Swan.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's really helping people, So and Oprah did with her program, having spiritual people talking about spiritualism on her show. Oprah, she opened up a lot of doors.
I think essentially people are gravitating away from the institution of faith.
They
And they
are.
are realizing that I don't need the institution with its hard rules and me having to give money, because you go to places like some of the, like Mexico, for example, one of the poorest communities out there. And I read an article at one time where an armored truck, like there's a hill where they go to for faith because there was, I guess, a religious sighting. And they put money down into this tube, like every hour an armored car at that time of the article was leaving this area, like the poorest people. So I think, and this is part of where the Cathars ran into trouble, because they didn't believe you should have to pay to worship. And this went against
exactly.
That's
the Christian
terrible.
narrative. Yeah. 20,000 of them were killed because they were a problem. So I think if we're looking at that, maybe now people, like you say, Jessica, they want real answers. They're trying to getting away from wanting to be under the thumb of an institution to follow a faith that they know will be there, whether they're being institutionalized with the ideas or not.
Yeah. I believe that is what's happening, and it should get better. But what worries me about it is those young people who know, who don't or who turn against against all that. They don't know themselves that they're responsible for their own soul progress.
Yes.
They don't, and then there's violence then comes about, and just not understanding what am I here in the world for? What do I care if I kill someone? What do I care if I rob my neighbor? That kind of thing.
Well, because there's no consequence, spiritually. Yeah.
That's why it's got to be taught in schools. It's just got to be taught. The truth has got to be taught in schools.
People are afraid of spirituality. They confuse it with religion, because I always say, if you want to go to, because Alan said I'm not Catholic, I've never been to Mass. You don't have to be Catholic to go to Mass. You can go to Mass. For me, it's not about what you hear, but how it makes you feel.
Yeah,
I'm the worst person. Okay. Like I've had one priest actually like me in my entire 55 years that I've been here. Just saying. But I don't like to go, because when I do pay attention, I don't like what I'm hearing.
The dogmas. Yeah.
Yes. And it bothers me sometimes. But, I think it depends on who is preaching, no matter what church is. Because some people go to church because it makes them feel connected to something. It's not necessarily to the religion, which they confuse religion and spirituality is the point that I'm trying to make. Like they say, I love going to Catholic Mass, but what do you like about Mass? Oh, it feels good and we're singing, we're this. Well, that's spirituality. That's not necessarily gospel.
But don't you feel that the problem is that people feeling they have to belong to something, not to themselves and the universe?
No, you don't have to belong to something. No. That's indoctrination. Yeah.
And I think that not just the church's fault, but I think people themselves seem to want to, because all over the world you see how they worship gods, and in ancient times, and that they had, like, generations and generations did worship something or someone.
Always.
Some cultures have gods and goddesses, and yeah.
Well, it's like they had to fall back on something, not themselves.
I feel I wonder if that's how they just, when the world began, it's not necessarily Adam and Eve for everybody, right? How did maybe something happened that we wouldn't think twice of today, but they saw it as magical and it became a god, and that's how it started. I don't know. Like, I think about that sometimes, evolution and like all this stuff that they had to learn. Fire came by learning, by experience. Who knows? Maybe someone got burned or something happened. They saw, I mean, the microwave came about because the gentleman was standing too close to the rays, the scientist, and his chocolate bar melted in his pocket. You know, it's like, I feel like that's how
What was
it
the
happened.
trigger, essentially?
Yeah, but you know, millennia ago,
Yeah.
millions and millions of years ago. And that started something, and it just kept going because everybody wanted to top everyone else. You know, I don't know. I think awakening is about finding yourself. And
yeah, you're right on the ball. That's totally it.
Well,
That's
I just
what it's
bought
all
your book,
about.
by the way. I just literally bought your book while you were talking. Yeah, it's an incredible conversation.
Yeah, but I mean, you have great knowledge yourselves. You know, it's incredible. And that word Adam, as you said, there was no such word. They made that up.
Yeah.
Adam came from Adamus.
Yes.
Adamus, which meant children of the earth or something. But there wasn't one soul or person called Adam. That's another thing that was made up. What I don't like is all these changes and things made up. You know, pretending that Jesus called people devil and Satan instead of enemy and slanderer, which would be much more to his beautiful nature. You know?
Well, even changing the Lord's Prayer, you know, even changing, there's little things that keep getting altered to suit the narrative a little bit more and a little bit more. And then eventually everything gets lost. I think sound and frequency should be explored, and it should be taught on any level of, I say religion, of faith. Because if you look in the world around you, everything has a vibration and frequency. Everything has an intelligence. Trees communicate via the root system. Plants listen to what you say. And, you know, there was an experiment in a high school at one point I read about. They took two plants, exact same plants. They put them behind glass, right? And the students were told, insult this one plant every day that you come in here and talk about love and how much you love this plant every time you come in here. The plant that was being barraged with negative comments was dying. The other one thrived. So,
yeah, I read about that, and I studied that, and I've written about that as well.
Oh, excellent. Yes.
I mean, it just shows you that nature has, if you want to say God, you know,
yes,
nature. It's like Shirley MacLaine, bless her, for her book.
I love her. I miss her.
I know that book was made a movie.
I have her book.
Yeah, and she ran out into the beach in front of her house in Malibu, and she said, "I am God." And of course, she was condemned for that, but she got the truth, and that's the end of it. You know, she got the truth.
Yeah, and I think that she had a tough time of it of when she came out with the whole spirituality thing and the alien thing and the spirits, and you know, she comes from a different time. So it was I feel like she opened a lot of doors for a lot of us. I bought her book really when it was released, and I was just a kid, you know.
She did.
She was an amazing talent. Amazing talent. Beautiful spirit.
Sorry, you were talking about plants. I studied that, but I also studied trees.
Yes.
And there's a tree in Egypt, and this animal was taking off the leaves, and the tree didn't like it, so it emitted on the leaves this disgusting smell.
Interesting.
And then to stop them, and the neighboring tree, the tree next to it, started doing the same thing. See how they communicate?
Yes.
The Wizard of Oz isn't off.
Yeah, they do. They do.
And that's why I love First Nations ideas. They have no religion. First Nation people, they just have a way of life, and they firmly believe we're all one, and
Yes.
they take care of nature, rivers, trees, everything. You know,
Yes.
their
Very
philosophy.
connected
They
to the
believe
earth.
in the creator.
Yes.
And that is how they view everything. You're one with the creator.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? Which means it's all encompassing. It's everything.
Yeah.
I did.
It is.
I see Catherine wrote, always talk to a tree before you prune.
Mhm.
I talk to my basil plant and thank my basil plant for sprouting leaves so that I could flavor my food. And I do everything wrong with my orchids. I put ice cubes. I've never taken out of the pot, and they flower a few times a year and they're not supposed to. But I really believe it's because I sing to them.
It sounds like a little bit like Wayne.
Yeah.
We had a property at one point, and there was a fire pit there, and this big plant was coming out of it. And Wayne's talking to this thing every day, and he's watering it and telling it how beautiful it is. The thing got so big, and then we had somebody come over and said, that's a marijuana plant. He's like, what? He's like, that is the biggest marijuana plant
I wouldn't know what that looks like
know.
either. I wouldn't either.
Yeah, he didn't know, but he just
No.
talked to it gently, and
We made somebody happy.
the plant completely. Well, it wasn't one of us, but
No.
the plant reacted to all of the love and the kindness that was coming out. So
Of course they do. Every plant, every animal, no matter what it is, all have that same.
yes.
You know, I hug my trees. I'm fortunate to have 7 trees.
I agree.
And I go hug them and talk to them and talk to, you talk to your vegetables, talk to your plants that grow better for you. When the king was Prince Philip, he used to do that. People laughed at him.
He was very different. He was spiritual. He was right into the whole ET thing, and he loved everything about space. He was just different.
Yes.
And again, he didn't come from that family. So.
No. Well, it is a shame because we are at the top of the hour, which means we're pretty much nearing the end of the show. And this is the part where I ask you what you have coming up. How can people get a hold of you? I've got your website right up here right now. Hold on. Where did it go? I think I just lost it. Oh, I lost a whole bunch of plants here. My banners are gone. That's all I'm going to say. So I lost
on our
everything.
page. It's on our group page.
Yeah. Well, we have it everywhere. Yes. And I'm going to put this back up. So please, tell us what your website. We have a lot of audio listeners. So maybe if you can give us your website, and I don't even want to ask you if you're going to be writing another book.
Oh my goodness. Not in the month of Sundays, as they used to say in Ireland.
Well, I just bought your book.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Yes, I just bought it right now. I went straight to it, and while you were talking, because when I'm into something, the energy that you give off, I feel like I'm just going to benefit from it 100 times, a million times over by reading about it over and over. Thank you for sharing it.
I just gave a link to my webmaster, and he said when you click on available on Amazon.com worldwide, it'll come up. The book will come straight up.
Yes,
perfect.
That's how I got it. Yep,
on my website.
Well, I've just put your website up on the stream. The website is in the show description. So we should be able to access all of that quite easily by just going into the archive as well. But I'm sorry you had so many tech issues. I'm so delighted that we were able to get you back.
No, I'm so sorry about that.
It happens.
It's
It
okay.
happens.
Only for my daughter being here, we'd never got this far. Thank goodness for Debbie.
It's okay. I call my daughter for everything too.
No.
I am no good at technology ever since that bang on my head. you know.
Yes.
I'm not good at it, and I haven't had a head injury, so
I know,
No.
and
Yeah.
people tell me that they're the same thing happens to them, but mine you can multiply it 100 times to know how bad it is for me. You know,
I imagine, yeah.
it gives me headache, and it actually makes me feel sick, physically sick.
Yeah.
But then again, I mean, I blossomed in the other way, that I became a spiritualist. That's what I call myself, a spiritualist.
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic, and I'm
Yeah.
glad that you were able to turn your situation into something an awakening. Essentially, it transformed you, and I think that is just incredible.
Well, again, like you said, it was a rebirth. Like
Yes.
a new person came out with the same name, Jessica Elizabeth Taylor.
Yes.
But as I said, I never intended writing a second book.
Yes.
You know, that psychic in Ireland was so right.
Yes.
Saying that I wouldn't do a second one.
Yes.
And I forgave myself for laughing at him. But I never wanted to. I wanted to learn for me.
Yes.
And then I thought, oh my God, I've got so much information. How can I be so selfish to keep it all to myself? I've got to put it into a book.
Well, we're grateful that you did, because it brought you here to us this evening. And
I just wanted to help people. That's what I want. I just want them to. That's my goal in life. People to understand not just what they are, but who they are. Not just who they are, but what they are. As souls, as spirits, you know.
Yes.
And understand their soul. Have to understand their soul and why it's there.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
And to stop violence. I mean, I don't know if I could ever stop wars. I wish I could.
We all wish we could.
It's different times, but I think uplifting and inspirational stories such as yours brings us all a little bit closer. And thank you so much.
You're right. You're right.
Thank you so much for joining us this evening, Jessica. I will be in touch, and maybe we can revisit this and hit on some things that we didn't get to address tonight.
And if you could send me a link, because I've got friends who are dying to listen in. Yes. And I know that they won't see me, but they'll hear what we have to say together.
I will make sure you have that.
Yes. A separate link. Yeah.
Yes, I will make sure you have that. I will send it to you in an email, and you will get that probably in the next hour or so.
All right, there. Okay. Right. Just lovely to talk to both of you. Just beautiful.
Oh my gosh. Such an honor to have you. You have no idea. Thank you.
It was such a joy. Thank you very much. And good night over there. I know you're a little bit behind us, so you still have some time.
Yeah, well, I'm a movie buff. Because I was a child actor in Ireland, it's still in my blood, and I'm movie crazy. I love it.
You and I could pass a few nights together. I love movies.
I do.
Yeah. Oh, darling. Well, good night, and thank you again.
Yeah, and good night to you. And it was just an honor to talk to both of you.
Oh, thank you. Honor was ours.
Honor was
ours. Thank you. Good night now.
Take care. Good night.
Good night. Namaste.
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 Well, that was incredible. My God, what a delightful, it's just to say, like a delightful human. It's just a good human. Oh, hey, I put the website, Jessica's website is in the stream. You should find it in the stream that you're in now. And thanks for touching base with us and tuning in. We are, of course, at the end of the show. So big thank you to Jessica. A lot of tech issues getting her on here, but I'm so grateful that we were able to figure it out. And we didn't get to look at her lovely face for long, but we did get a lot of really great inspirational conversation. So guys, next week, tune in on Tuesday afternoon at 2 p.m. and you're going to get an uncensored version of Priscilla Rosetta Cruz and I as we talk about the astrology, but on a whole other level. So you're going to be getting into government and world stuff, things that we can't really put on YouTube. You will find it on YouTube, but you are not going to find the archive there. So the only way you are going to get it is if you go over to Rumble. Okay. So that's going to be Tuesday. It's got somebody looking for love in all the wrong places. So anyway, anyway, he's gone.
Screen.
So check that out Tuesday afternoon. You can watch the live show on X, on our YouTube, and on Rumble. Archive will only be on X and on Rumble. We will make sure that the Rumble link gets up so you guys can find it if you miss it. Sorry, getting dry.
Yeah, none of us have gotten over this.
Oh, I know, it's terrible. I have to drink some water. Thank you, Folgers.
That's okay. Yes, Folgers. Thank you so much. Sponsorship from day one. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh my God. Okay. So Wednesday night, new guy, new guest, Shane Corson, member and co-runner of the Olympic Project, specializes in the research of Sasquatch, co-host of Monster X Radio podcast. Get ready for a lesson in Sasquatch here in North America, ranging from the terrain. I gotta really just get rid of this guy's comment.
Not the NHL. Not the NHL. I tease them about that.
Oh my God, I'm dying. Yeah. Anyway, we're going to learn about the terrain, the nests that have been found, the food sources, birthing scenarios. We're going to find out a lot of stuff. This guy goes everywhere, and it's going to be great conversation. And if that's not enough, Thursday we welcome back Constance Victoria Briggs to talk about one of my favorite topics, Hollow Earth.
Yes.
It's out there. I promise you, it's out there. So
we're a lot crazy, the three of us together, just saying if you haven't experienced it, you need to be there.
I know. It's going to be great. Yeah. I've done a lot of research on this over the years. We're going to have a lot of fun. And big thank you, not forgetting our sponsors, Folgers Coffee, Justin Snicker, Steve McGinnis. Don't want to forget that. Big shout out, United Public Radio Network, UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. Everybody have a terrific weekend. We shall see you all next week. But you'll see me on Tuesday. Be there. Thank you, guys. Good night.